Welcome to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. The crossroads where culture, lifestyle, and community meet. All hosted by the legendary New York radio TV personality and proud Harlem American, G. Keith Alexander.
And a very pleasant good day to you. Thank you so very, very much for coming to Harlem America. I am G. Keith Alexander, the host of What's Hot Harlem America, and I have a great show for you today. Now, this young man, and I do call him a young man, he has done comedy all over the world. He is an extraordinary singer. He has he's a dancer and an actor, and he is at Showtime at the Apollo, Mr. C.P. Lacey. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be fun because CP is a man of 1,000 faces. You told me you got one more face though, right?
1,001, yeah.
1,001 faces. Okay. So CP, we've known you from being at the Apollo Theater. Anyone who's gone to Showtime at the Apollo and have seen you on television know that you have all these various characters that you do, and it's more than 30 different characters. How does someone keep it straight in their mind that they're, okay, I'm going to be this character today, that character tomorrow? How does it all work for you?
Well, first, let me just say thank you, G. Keith Alexander, for allowing me to be on your show. I want to say hi to all your guests and all your listeners. Hey, everybody. To answer your question, well, I don't know. It's a gift. That's all I can say. It's a gift to have all these people in you and not be a total maniac inside. Because I think if I were looking at somebody who did what I did, I'd say that person has to be a maniac inside with all those characters and things going on in their mind at the same time.
Well, let's go back. Let's take the Wayback Machine and tell us about your early childhood. How did you start out?
That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. The way I started out, every Sunday or what day it was, I'm pretty sure it was Sundays, the Ed Sullivan Show would come on. I'm dating myself. The Ed Sullivan Show would come on. I remember it. And I saw a guy named James Brown slide across the stage. And I said to my mother, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be inside that television, Ma. I'm going to be inside that television. And she said, no, you're not. You're going to medical school. I'm like, no, I'm going to be in the television. You see who won.
Yes, I see. So, okay, so tell us about the journey. So now, how did you begin to start performing? How did that happen?
Another excellent question. My father was in the Navy, right? How does that have to do with anything? Well, my father was in the Navy. He'd be away at sea for months on end, 2-3 months on end. And when he come back home, he'd bring all the sailors from the ship to our house, where they would have house parties down in Portsmouth, Virginia, near the naval base. And my father would have house parties. She'd invite all her girlfriends. My dad would invite all the sailors from the ship. Pop, everybody's partying. My mother would wake me up around 11 o'clock at night when the party's getting really, really good, and would make me sing for the people because she knew I could sing. And I'd sing, and the first, G. Keith, I'm telling you, the first time I sang, they threw money. And I said, I know I'm doing this now for a living. You can say what you want. I can do what I love to do and get money to buy cookies and popsicles. And
that was it? That's what started it?
That's what started. My mother used to make me sing for the company, and those sailors liked my singing so much, they would throw money right there on the living room floor as I'm singing.
So you're in around what age now?
5. I was maybe 5.
5. Okay. So now let's go to your teen years. Were you performing now in school or anything like that?
Yeah. I was performing in. You ask great questions. I'm performing in the lunchroom on the tables, the lunch tables and everything, doing James Brown routines, and I'm doing Smokey Robinson routines all over the place. And the kids would trade their lunch to keep me singing. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to bring lunch every day.
All right, so now we move out of the teens, and you get into. Did you go to college or?
I did. I went to Long Island University, but prior to that, I was in high school. That's when the band years start. You get your friends, your little friends who can play a guitar, and one can play the drums, and one can play piano, and you start your little four-piece band. We did that and started doing shows around. And a funny story, coming up, I was in a group I can't remember what we called ourselves, but it was me, my friend Wes, and Al Mills, the brother of the very famous Stephanie Mills, right? We grew up in the same area.
Oh, okay.
So Al says, my sister can sing. I'm like, no girls. No girls. And look what happened to her. I guess I can't ask her for any favors.
Yes. So, all right. So now we get to this. Okay, you're doing James Brown. You've mastered James Brown probably early on. Before we've seen you on television, you've already mastered him. Then you got Smokey, and then how did the characters come about?
I would do a show. I would do my regular show around. Now I'm an adult, and I would do my show, and they say, "Hey, do this one." I said, "I don't know if I do that." And then I come home, go into my wardrobe room, throw on something that looks a little like the character, and practice it. If it worked well, I would include them in the show. If it didn't work well, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
So now, give us a list of the characters that didn't work, that you tried and they didn't work.
Well, let's see. LL Cool J. That'll never work.
You're not buffed enough to do LL. Okay.
No, I can't do LL. I can't do Bruno Mars. I want to do him so.
You're too tall for Bruno.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't do Lil Wayne, man. Even though I want to do Lil Wayne so bad, man. I got the voice. Oh, man, I can rap a little bit. I'm just too tall.
Okay. All right. So for those listeners, and we've got listeners who are in other countries, may not have seen you before, but will see you after becoming aware of you. List some of the characters that you're very, very good at. You're very proficient with.
Let's see. I do James Brown, who you named, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Prince, Snoop Dogg, Kanye West, Diddy, Lionel Richie. I go back to the older folks who still like to see folks like Johnny Mathis, Sammy Davis Jr., Ray Charles, Little Richard, Tina Turner, when the money's right. Yeah, I do over 30 characters.
And you've got, I guess you've got this extensive wardrobe that you can go through and select which character you're going to be today. I guess it depends on who's hiring you and what character they're hiring you for, of course.
Yeah.
How long is the preparation for one character?
Well, Michael can take me anywhere from if it's a quick gig, the quick Michael Jackson can take me every bit of 11 minutes. If it's a big production, Michael with full regalia, the whole total look can take me about a good 45 minutes to really become a striking Michael Jackson.
And you do your own makeup?
Yes, I actually custom blend my own makeup for Michael.
With the high heels on, give me fever like I've never ever.
Really? Now I've seen you as Prince. Now Prince seems to be a little lighter. Is that an intentional?
You're probably talking about the picture that I sent to your producers. Prince is not, I don't believe, lighter than Michael. The lighting on that particular shot that my people sent to your people was a shot where the light was right up on Prince.
Okay.
So he probably would appear lighter than Michael, but I don't believe Prince was lighter than Michael.
And of all the characters that you do, which is your famous, your
I knew you were
favorite?
going to ask that one, so I got to answer prepared for that one.
Oh, really?
The character that I enjoy doing most is the one that pays the most at the time. It's like a mother with her kids. It's like asking a mother, who's your favorite child? You know, a mother can't say which one's the favorite, even though I believe mothers do have favorites.
Well, I'm sure they probably do. But now,
But
okay,
they never say which one.
now your wife, your lovely wife,
Yes.
does she play a hand in any of your artistry?
Well, yeah. She's my business partner. She's a partner in the company Lacey Entertainment, and she also was my manager for a stint when she left the New York Times to manage me. And well, it's funny when you're trying to manage your spouse. You know, it's kind of like that. But we found a middle ground, and it worked very well. So we get along very well as business partners.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I see we're sitting in your studio now. Is this where you record all of your music for your acts, or
Yes,
what?
this is where we create the magic, and I play all of the instruments for all of the songs that I do. When you hear me doing James Brown, I play all the music for all of the tracks that I do. I try to cut out the middleman as much as possible. Not that I'm greedy. It's that I like to say on my resume, yes, that was me playing the drums. That was me playing the keyboard. That was me playing the bass. That was me playing the guitar. You know,
You're self-taught?
yes, I'm self-taught. Self-taught. I wanted to go to, it's funny, when I was younger, I wanted to go to music conservatory and things like that, but something in the back of my mind said that would erase the raw talent. That was a stupid move. I should have went. I should have gone. But something behind my mind said, no, you have a raw talent and it's great and it's wonderful. Don't go there because they'll polish off the roughness and make you a shiny diamond. And you don't want to be a shiny diamond. I think I would be living in Beverly Hills if I was that shiny diamond today.
Well, okay. So now we've got all these characters,
Yeah.
and how did you get to the Apollo Theater?
Well, there was a movie called Taps back in the day, in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, starring Sandman Sims, Gregory Hines, Sammy Davis, all the tappers. Well, Sandman Sims was called to shoot that movie, and I had won the Apollo Amateur Night around 6 times during my James Brown routine, and the creator of Amateur Night, Mr. Ralph Cooper Sr., God rest his soul, thank you for the gig, he saw my fancy footwork. So when Hollywood called Sandman Sims to go away for a week to shoot that movie, Mr. Cooper said to me, I like the way you move your feet. Would you like to fill in for Sandman Sims? Can you tap dance? And of course, every actor, the answer is yes. I've never put a pair of shoes on in my life, but the answer is yes, I can tap dance. Are you kidding me? I was just tap dancing the other week. Anyway, so he said, okay, bring your shoes next week. And so I went out and bought a pair of Capezios with the taps on them, came in, what do you call the word I'm looking for? I hustled my way through a tap routine. And he said, okay, I like that. Come back next week because Sandman Sims will be back. Well, Sandman came back and then he got the show, Showtime at the Apollo. And then they booked me and hired me to do the rest of his stint at Amateur Night. See, a lot of folks didn't know that Showtime at the Apollo and Amateur Night at the Apollo are 2 different shows, 2 different producers. So Sandman was doing Showtime at the Apollo, and I was doing Amateur Night at the Apollo, which wasn't televised every single Wednesday night for the past 80, I think it's 85 years now.
No. Okay. So
I haven't been there 85 years.
No. You've been there, what, 35 years at the Apollo?
I've been there close to 35 years, kicking people off the stage, destroying people's hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Yes, I've been doing that for 35 years.
What's that like?
It's bittersweet because I've never known the humiliation of being kicked off of a stage. I laugh when I say that, but it's not funny. But it's an interesting thing. When the Apollo crowd boos you off the stage, they're not saying we hate you. What they're saying is go back to the woodshed, learn your craft, and come back, and we will then give you the accolades and the clappity claps that you so well deserve. But for as it stands for now, boo, get out of here. Enter C.P. Lacey, the executioner. And it feels good, except for that one time when I went backstage to console a person who had just kicked off the stage, and they were so distraught that a little scuffle ensued. Pop, pop, pop.
Really?
Pop. Yeah.
Between the two of you.
Don't get me wrong. I beat her good. I beat her good. I'm only kidding. I'm a kidder. I'm only kidding.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. So we've got about 2 minutes left.
Time goes so fast.
It does. Give me a quick instance of something that happened other than that you beating up the woman. Is there another funny story you could tell us?
Well, not a funny story, but a story that I will always hold very near and dear to my heart. I came into work one Wednesday, and who was the special guest at the Apollo that Wednesday evening? The Jacksons. And this was before they had put in a rule where you can't talk to the artists when they come in, you can't look at them, you can't blah 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 blah. I came in contact with Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, Jack. I talked to them, I touched them, they talked to me. They say, we know who you are, you're the executioner. I was like, the Jacksons know me. I can die tomorrow. The Jacksons know who C.P. Lacey is. And that's a story that I will always tell.
Well, that's a great story. I have some experience at the Apollo myself, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But right now, I want to remind the folks that Saturday, November 14th at 11 p.m., I'd like for you to check out a program called Profiles with Mickey Burns. I'll be a special guest. It'll be on Channel 25 here in New York, WNYC. And if you miss it on Saturday, it repeats again on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. and on Tuesday night, November 17th at 3 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, we have my special guest, the executioner from the Apollo Theater, Mr. C.P. Lacey. And we're just getting started, so I want you to stick around and come back. And this is What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. We'll be right back.
Tune in every Friday to get your weekend kickoff early. Join the legendary G. Keith Alexander for What's Hot Harlem America. The flagship show of the new Harlem America Digital Network has something for everyone. From the latest in entertainment to empowerment, health and wellness, and more, we'll bring you a variety of fresh viewpoints, voices, and ideas. What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander can be heard every Friday at 1 p.m. in New York and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Hey, yes, welcome back. Our special guest is the celebrity impersonator extraordinaire, Mr. C.P. Lacey. C.P., did you ever meet the wonderful tap dancer, the legend, Honey Cole?
Yeah. No, I never met him, but I used to go to the Apollo, sneak from home in Brooklyn and sneak to the Apollo every now and then. And Honey Cole was the actual host of Amateur Night at the Apollo. I never got a chance to meet him, but he was a smooth guy.
Oh, he was. Honey Cole used to chase me away from in front of the Apollo Theater. Because When I was a college student at Fordham University, in order to make a little extra money, a friend of mine by the name of Alton Collier used to sell 8x10 glossy photos out in front of the theater. And when I got hit by a car, he says, you know, I had lost my job at the Village Gate as I was assistant manager at the Village Gate at the time. He says, why don't you come work with me? I said, what do you do? He says, well, I sell 8x10 glossies in front of the Apollo Theater. So I would go with him. And when the Temptations of James Brown or whomever were in town, we would stand out in front and catch the audiences coming out and sell them the 8x10 glossy photos of the artist. And Honey Cole would come out and chase us away, and we'd run around the back of the theater and catch the crowd coming out the back. And so, and it was great. I mean, for a week's worth of work, you make like $700 selling 8x10 glossy photos. Yeah, when, you know, James Brown, Temptations, people wanted to buy the 8x10 glossies.
$700?
Yes, I'm
and
telling
that was
you.
your cut. That was just your cut.
No, I had to give Alton the largest part of that.
Share.
Yeah, the lion's share. But then also about maybe about 6 months later, I got hired at WBLS to be a DJ. Frankie hired me at WBLS, and about another 3 months later, I got a call from the Apollo Theater. And Bobby Schiffman called and wanted me to host the Temptations and Spinners show. When the Spinners had
so many people. Wow.
When the Spinners had this album with all the hits on, I'll Be Around, Sadie, One Night,
Rubber Band Man,
your Rubber Band Man, all those. Well, I was on stage with them. And the unfortunate part about being on stage for a week, I must have done maybe about 10 shows that week. The Temptations, they didn't have a hot single out. So they would get booed. Every time I'd bring them on stage, the Temptations would start singing and the audience would boo them. And they would they threw fruit and money and stuff like that at the Temptations. And I felt so bad for the Temps. They didn't finish they wouldn't finish the show, and I remember going backstage, and the comedian at that time was a guy named Franklin Ajayi. And Franklin Ajayi was sitting on the steps. He felt so dejected because they booed him and threw fruit at him too. And I had to go back and console him. So I know what it's like to when someone is dejected and rejected, and having to console them. It's not a nice feeling to have. So anyway, so since then I've been the announcer for the Apollo Theater galas, and I've done the when Oprah did her specials at the Apollo Theater, the Legends Own, I was the announcer for the Gladys Knight show, the Earth, Wind and Fire, Smokey Robinson, and it was really nice. So I've got some. I just want the audience to know, the audience from overseas and the audience outside of New York, that I can identify with that great stage of the Apollo Theater. Is such a legendary place to be, and you're there for 35 years. You must have some wonderful stories and seen some great acts, and I want to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your experience at the Apollo.
Well, my character as the executioner, when I first got there, I started mimicking, I'm a great mimicker. I was mimicking Sandman Sims' routine, dressing up in the more clowny type of costumes wardrobe. And
with the big shoes, the big
shoes, the chair, the whips and all this kind of stuff. And about 5 years into that, a gentleman named Tommy Tomita, he was the Japanese liaison, bringing all the wonderful folks from Japan when they come to tour in New York. He'd bring them all to the Apollo. Thanks for that, Tommy Tomita. Rest in peace. Love you. And he gave me a gift, something that didn't go with all of the other garments that I wore. I said, hey, maybe if I change up my style. This will go with some of the new stuff. So that started the trend of me dressing in my own identity. It was still humorous in nature, but not clown. There's a slight difference between a clown and a humorist. So I dressed to make the audience laugh, but it wasn't a clown. I did about 10 years of that. Then when the Amateur Night Show switched producers, he said, let's switch up some stuff. Let's make your character more Apollo legend-y. When you kick people off, instead of the humorous outfits, why don't you dress up as Apollo legends? So now I kick them off as not Stevie Wonder. I kick them off as James Brown. I'll kick them off as Prince. I'll kick them off as Little Richard, telling them to shut up as I'm kicking them off the stage. And who's ever been to the Apollo Theater, I'll dress up as that icon now and kick them off. And that's where it is now, as far as it changing faces, as far as my character has evolved.
James Brown. You do James Brown just like James Brown.
I'm back. It's back. Get up on for that thing. Then you feel better. Get up on for that thing. Ladies, sing.
Thanks a lot, brother. I really appreciate you saying that. Only reason I say that is because, G. Keith, there's one thing I want to say to you in the voice of James Brown, and I mean this. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, G. Keith, and I really want to say this to you.
Well, okay. All right. Okay. Now, James Brown, when I was on 92 KTU, Disco 92, he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, brother, happy birthday. Look, I just sent something over to the radio station for you." He sent, he and Danny Ray and the guy from the JBs. I know his name like the back of my hand. Maceo. No, Fred. It was Fred Wesley. Yeah. They sent over a happy birthday tune for me. And it starts off like, "Happy birthday, brother. This is James Brown. Happy funky birthday, brother." And then Danny Ray did his part, and then Fred Wesley did his part, and then the female preacher did her part. And so I'll be forever grateful that James Brown gave me that piece of memorabilia that I'll have forever.
Did you play that on air?
Yes, I did.
I think I heard that.
Yes, I did.
I think I heard that, yeah.
And every year for my birthday, I always post it on my Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
So now tell me, did you ever meet James Brown, and what did he ever say anything to you about impersonating him?
No, I didn't meet him when I was doing my impersonations of him. There's so many people who I've never met. But James Brown did say sorry to me.
Oh, really?
I hope that's what he said. I took my girlfriend to see James Brown at the Apollo way back in the day. I must have been a teenager. And, before he leaves the stage, he always sings, "Please, please, please." The band strikes up, "Please, please," da, 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 da. The audience rushes the stage as they always do the Apollo. And James Brown is shaking hands. I pull my girlfriend up to the stage. We're running up to the stage now. The Apollo floor is an incline. So as you're going down, you're getting momentum.
Right.
I couldn't stop. We're running. I couldn't stop. And I put my hand out and stopped my flow of coming to the stage. And I stopped. She forgot to put her hand out. She bumps her head on the stage. She's down like this. I'm looking up at James Brown. And I have my hand on the stage. James Brown steps on my hand. And I looked up as he was saying something. It looked like he said, "I'm sorry." I don't care what it was. All I know is my idol stepped on my hand. I was so happy. I'm like, honey, excuse me for a second while I lavish in this.
Well,
My
see,
idol stepped on my hand.
well, see, no wonder you can do James Brown so well. He passed the torch to you by stepping on your hand.
Yeah, I
He
actually have the soul of James Brown.
That's like the Queen knighting someone, you know?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
wow,
He
that's
gave me
great.
the sole of his shoe.
That's amazing. Wow. Uh, so, what's in the works for you now?
Oh, right now, well, pre-COVID, I was in the beginning stages of finding venues to launch my one-man show, a play called One in a Million, the C.P. Lacey story. And we were getting venues outside of New York, of course. I want to work out the kinks before I come to New York with it. But it's a one-man show starting from when I was 5 years old, doing shows for my parents' house parties and doing little shows for my brothers and my sister. It starts from there when I was 5 years old up to today, who C.P. Lacey is today. It's a very, very, very poignant story of my life. And I started not to write it because I was saying, well, the world is vast. A lot of people know C.P. Lacey, but I was saying, the back of my mind, I was saying, there's a lot of people who don't. So who really cares about the C.P. Lacey story? But so many people were saying, write it, write it, write it, do it, produce it, release it. You got to get that out because a lot of people want to know who C.P. Lacey is and why, he is where he is,
I
how
would
he
say
got there.
I would say go for it because C.P. Lacey is not just doesn't embody, the actual person, but
Mhm.
you also embody so many different characters. The show would be so interesting for people to be able to come and witness how you transform yourself. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, and wow, that's amazing. So, do you plan to do any television, like host your own television show or something?
I have a few treatments in the can. My second um, heartfelt passion is filmmaking. I've always been, making short films, things of that nature, comedy sketches and stuff, which I plan to uh, pitch to, Netflix, the own network, Tyler Perry's network, and things of that nature, and see who wants to become a trillionaire. When you go to these people, I'm going to give you something to your viewers and listeners. When you go, everybody who's in the entertainment field, it's not what you want; it's what you can bring to these producers and network executives, what they can get out of it. Okay, so don't think that any of these people want to make you a star. They don't. They want to see how much you can bring to the table to get their bank accounts a lot thicker. Okay, so when you go into these places, make sure that you have that idea in mind. No one wants to make you a star. You have to make them rich.
They want you to be a profitable investment for them.
Thank you very much. That's what they want. A lot of people um, in the industry thinks that it's all about their talent. There are 10 of you. There are 10 of you. There, speaking of which, I used to think there were 10 of me, G. Keith, when I first started doing this. I was always, for the first 15 years, I was always looking over my shoulder. Who can do what I do? I'm looking for that next guy who says, CP, I can do 10 characters. Back then I could do maybe just 10. And I was always looking over my shoulder, waiting for that next guy coming up to be the next CP Lacey. And I'll say to your listeners and your viewers, don't worry about who's coming up after you. I did that for 10 years and no one ever came. The only person who does, that I know of, who does close to what I do was a guy, no talent guy named Eddie Murphy. When I first met Eddie Murphy, it was at a club. I was doing my routine and Eddie came to a few of my shows after that. And he said, to me. He said, I'm going to introduce you to my manager. And I'm like, what? You, Eddie Murphy, how you going to introduce me to your manager? You do Stevie Wonder. You do James Brown. You do a parody of Michael Jackson. How are you going to do that? Thank you, though. He introduced me to his manager. And a couple of weeks after that, I'm watching Saturday Night Live. This is before he was on Saturday Night Live. It's Saturday Night Live with Eddie Murphy. Oh, he gave a brother some good insight because he was getting ready to move up further on that ladder. He was just a regular, comedy club comedian when I met him. He didn't even have Saturday Night Live yet. So,
Well, let me tell you this, okay? I'm on 92 KTU, and I'm walking up Fifth Avenue or Madison Avenue one afternoon, and I hear someone say, G. Keith Alexander. And I turn to look, and here is this gentleman, Caucasian gentleman, walking with this young black man.
Mm-hmm.
The guy walks up to me and he says, G. Keith, Eddie Murphy, this is G. Keith Alexander, man. He's the #1 DJ on WKTU. You got to say hello to him. So Eddie very shyly says, hi. Well, and we talk for about maybe 30 seconds, and then we move on. About a week later, Robert Wax was his manager's name, I believe it was. I'm walking down same street. I hear G. Keith Alexander. He brings Eddie over again. He forgets that he had introduced me to him the week before. He introduces me to Eddie again. All right, about a week later, I get a call from my publicist saying that there's a comedy showcase happening, and they'd like for you to be a judge. The club would like for you to be a judge at the comedy showcase. I said, okay. So I'm sitting in the audience, and about the third comedian to come out is this kid, Eddie Murphy.
Okay. And
Eddie Murphy sees me in the audience, and he uses me as the butt of 3 of his jokes.
Oh, I love it.
So now, of course, I'm going to give him a 10, on the scorecard.
Of course.
And now, a few weeks later, or maybe even a month or so later, like you said, ladies and gentlemen, on Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying to myself, that kid, wow,
Yeah.
So, wow, that's we both have Eddie Murphy stories. How about that?
And that little thing I threw in about some no talent kid, Eddie Murphy, in case somebody on YouTube want to chop that up and make it look like I said Eddie has no talent. Don't you do that. Don't you do it was a comedy bit when I said no talent guy. Eddie,
Well,
Eddie is a comic genius.
Comedy genius. But, I put you in the category of Sammy Davis.
Well, thanks, babe. First of all, I want you to know that you are a groovy man.
And I want you to know that I met Sammy once. He rubbed my stomach. I don't know why he did that, but when they introduced me to him, he rubbed my stomach. Hey, we've got about. I'm sorry.
Stomach rubber.
We're gonna have to leave it there. We've got about 10 seconds, and I just want to remind people that we're here with Mr. C.P. Lacey. He's the executioner from the Apollo, and he's a celebrity impersonator. And we'll be back. He'll maybe even have a few more voices for us. So stick around. This is G. Keith at What's Hot Harlem, America.
Tune in every Friday to get your weekend kickoff early. Join the legendary G. Keith Alexander for What's Hot Harlem America. The flagship show of the new Harlem America Digital Network has something for everyone. From the latest in entertainment to empowerment, health and wellness, and more, we'll bring you a variety of fresh viewpoints, voices, and ideas. What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander can be heard every Friday at 1 p.m. in New York and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that we have a new Federal Theater gala or event happening, and we'd like for you to check it out. In fact, WBGO's Rhythm Review Dance Party will be activated that night as well. Felix Hernandez from WBGO, we all know him about around New York City, having his rhythm review dance parties. Well, he and I will be teaming up, and it'll be for Saturday to bring you 50 Years in the Groove, a rhythm review salute to Woody King's New Federal Theater. And you can check us out at New Federal Theater's website, which is newfederaltheater.com, or you can go to harlemamerica.com. And for those of you not familiar with New Federal Theater, that's where folks like Denzel and Sam Jackson and even Chadwick Boseman got their start at New Federal Theater. So that's tomorrow night, and it's from 7 to 9 p.m. Okay? Now, CP.
Yeah.
Back to you. Can you give us a little, maybe, Stevie Wonder?
Oh, let's see. Okay. I think I have a pair of Stevie glasses around here somewhere. Here you go. Now, in order to do Stevie Wonder, first of all, you must have a pair of shades. Now, he didn't have this under here, so you're going to have to act like I don't have this.
Okay.
Now, the whole trick to being Stevie Wonder is not in the glasses. Back in the day, it was all in the neck. You see? It's all in the neck. It's almost like he was trying to do a snake.
Right.
He introduced that whole snake thing. I think then the voice will automatically begin to change. G. Keith, I want you to sing a song that I made famous about 5, 6, 7, 8, around 40 years ago. For your audience, do you remember this one? You call my name, ooh, so sweet, to make your kissing complete. When your mood is clear, you quickly change your ways. Do. First you say I'm all right, then it goes.
You got me.
From sight. So I'm taking out this time to say, that's all you get.
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, that's great. I have to say also, since you brought up, or since I brought up Stevie Wonder, I was standing with Stevie years ago. This was, years ago, and we were at RCA Records or somewhere, but they had their own studio in-house, and they had these big studio doors. And Stevie and I are standing by the doors, and all of a sudden, one of the doors opened up coming towards us. You couldn't hear the door, but Stevie somehow felt the wind or the energy coming from the motion of the door, and just like you were moving your head and stuff, Stevie just kind of swiveled away from the door, and I'm saying to myself, and I'm looking at this, and I'm saying to myself, how the heck did he know that door was coming?
Wow,
he was amazing.
That's sixth sense.
Yes. And I've worked with him since, and he's such a great human being, and just wonderful. All right, so who else can you give us that we would recognize?
It's funny. I don't generally do the characters without the full regalia because it makes me feel like an impressionist. An impressionist, as you well know, is a person who maybe does the voice. I just feel naked to do the voice without the stuff on.
Right, because you're more of an impersonator.
I'm an impersonator, but
right.
I will do a couple of voices just for you because I love you, G. Keith Alexander.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
I think if Michael Jackson were here, he'd probably, let me just channel Michael. G. Keith, I want you to know that I want everybody to close their eyes and don't look at don't look at me as I do Michael's voice, because Michael, he's a little shy, but he always wants you to know that you are not alone.
It's great. It's great. Oh, incredible. All right. So now, have you got any performances coming up? I know we're in COVID, and you can't go out. I remember seeing you had posted on Instagram or Facebook one day. You were driving in the rain to get to this performance, and it was at a I don't know if it was a mall or something, but I'm watching you, and you had to get yourself together and going. But you can't do that now because of COVID. You can't
Right.
make these personal appearances. Are you being asked to perform on Zoom?
Yes, I'm doing quite a few Zoom performances. In fact, I have there's one big concert that happens in Plainfield, New Jersey every year. It's called the Summer Give Back concert series, produced by a lady named Pat Fields. And they didn't have it this year because of COVID, of course. They're having it this November, in a couple of weeks. They're calling it the Give Back Summer Concert Series in fall. It's going to be me and a few notable performers. The headliners will be a group called the Soul Generation. They had a big hit, couple of big hits. One was "If I Had $1 Million," something like that. And also Blue Magic will be on the bill headlining as well.
Oh, great.
So I like working with the legends because people like Blue Magic, the Unifics, the Delphonics. I used to draw pictures of the lead singer for the Delphonics when I was in junior high school. I still have it to this day.
Really?
Poogie Bell, I believe is his name. He had such an interesting look. I actually drew a picture from the album cover of him in class when I was supposed to be paying attention. I'm drawing pictures of the Delphonics.
So when this event occurs, which character are you going to show up as?
They gave me carte blanche, so I'm going to be introducing and outroing people as different characters. I'll introduce them as Prince and outro them as, Stevie Wonder. This is said have fun, so I'm going to have fun with them. It's going to be an amazing show, I know that.
And the date again is when?
The date is November the...
Well, they can go to your website or go to your Facebook page.
Yes, it's on my website. It should be on my website, and I'll post it on my Facebook as well. I'll give out the socials as we get closer to the end of the show. But it's simply www. Did I say W? How old am I? You don't have to say www anymore, folks. It's just
That's right.
cplacey.com.
All right. Yeah. So for those of you who live out of the country or out of New York or not seen CP, go to his website, and right there on the front page, there's a video of CP doing Prince, James Brown, who else?
Michael, I believe, is there. It's still in the build. We're still building it. So as soon as COVID started, we tore it down and started rebuilding. So I sent your producers there, but I know there was not very much content for them to pull from because it's still in the making.
In construction, yeah.
Still in construction.
So is there anybody that you think is... Well, you already answered that about looking over your shoulder and seeing who's coming up. But I'm sure that you are approached quite often by young people who want to get into the business. And what do you tell them?
I tell them, first of all, that I will be launching my CP Lacey Master's class in a few more weeks.
Right. Okay.
And you can go there. And you can go there on my website and take courses and classes and learn from the best, because being at the Apollo for 35 years, I've seen exactly what to do and exactly what not to do on anybody's stage, whether it be in film, singing, comedy, dance. I've seen it for 35 years, so I know firsthand what it takes to win and what it takes not to win. But the advice that I would give on the street, if anyone asked me, I'd say do it for the love of the craft. As I said before, don't do it for the money, because if you invest in your craft, most times the money will follow.
I see. That's very good advice. If you love what you do, it won't be work, and you won't feel you won't feel as though you've lost out if you don't benefit financially, because you've had fun. It's the journey. It's becoming. It's evolving into your talent, and then the riches, if I may say riches, will follow you once people feel as though what you're doing is authentic, and what you're doing is beneficial to them. So hone your craft, must practice often. And in fact, when I used to teach voiceovers, I taught voiceovers for quite some time, and I used to tell people that you have to practice every day. You hone your craft. That's the most important thing to do. So CP, you didn't touch on the fact that when did you start taking tap dance lessons? I've seen videos of you tap dancing with all of the great
legends.
tap dancers.
Yeah.
Yes, all the legends.
Before I answer that question, I want to go back to what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to state also that you said you were offering voiceover lessons. That's what I was going to say to the newcomers too. Don't try to make it on your own talent. Go out and find a master to teach you, to take you to the next level. You can say, I'm a singer, I'm a great singer. Michael Jackson was taking voice lessons to the day he died. He never, I've made it, I don't need a voice coach. I'm not in voice lessons, a vocal coach. You can always learn something new. So make sure you go to a master and learn from the masters how to do what it is that you're trying to do.
Most definitely. It's so important. The best of the best are still taking coaching lessons.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, from people to in order to not only perfect what they're doing, but to stay how can I say at their peak performing ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You never arrived. You never arrived. So now I can sit on my laurels. Now the second question you asked me was tap dancing. After I got the gig and I knew it was going to be a stay, because Sandman transferred the honors of the Apollo to me and said, it's yours, the gig is yours, henceforth now and forever till you decide to leave. And then I went to tap dance school. I studied with Maurice Hines.
Really?
I studied with Maurice Hines, Frank Hatchett.
Yes.
Frank
Okay.
Hatchett. And I studied with a few other people at New York Tap Central.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned from the best.
Well, that's great. Well,
There are a lot of great ones now who I'd like to learn some of the new style tapping with. These young guys coming up now, they're doing some incredible things with tap shoes, taking it to the next level and beyond.
Have you actually danced with Mr. Glover?
No, I haven't danced with Glover at all. No, he's in another league. He's in another league. Not saying that doesn't mean that the opportunity would not have presented itself. It's just that he's moving around so much. He's never even, in town enough. He's abroad a lot.
Wow.
People love him worldwide.
CP, we're going to have to leave it here. We've got less than 30 seconds. I want to thank you very, very much for coming to Harlem, America. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And remember, if you ever miss a podcast at 1 p.m. Eastern, you can always check us out because we're podcasts and we love you. And you have a great day and a better one tomorrow. I'm G. Keith Alexander.
And I'm CP Lacey.
And that's CP Lacey.